Hello, everyone, and welcome to the all-new Quad Radio. I'm your host, Rodney Tomlin, as we welcome you out here on a beautiful Monday, as we are actually doing a little test casting right now and thinking about going live, believe it or not. And I am in a makeshift studio. I don't want to disclose the location of this particular place, but nonetheless, we are here. We are loud, and I think we are proud and broadcasting live. I know got a very special guest and a very special gentleman in-house with us right now, and of course this is none other than Jeremiah Jones, as we welcome old JJ out to the program. And Jeremiah, a two-time ATV motocross national champion, and glad to have you on board with us, Jeremiah. How's things going, buddy?
Oh, it's been crazy busy. Uh, just pretty much in quarantine right now. Just kind of just laying low, just staying close to home, and just trying to get stuff done around the house.
Yeah, so laying low, quarantine. So when they said quarantine, did you take them at their word and pretty much hole up?
We just try to stay, close to home and not be traveling out much or whatever. But um, trying to wash your hands when more than regularly, and just just trying to stay around the house more and do a little bit more stuff. But we've been out and about, but it's good, I guess, just to stay around the house and just try to get some home improvements done, I guess, is what you can say, and then trying to get people's customer bikes out of the shop, getting stuff done.
Yeah, I'm sure customers. That's a good thing to hear you say, man, because I know this time of year, it is certainly not. Well, not necessarily this time of year, but with the COVID virus and everything that is going on at the particular moment, I mean, you'd think that there wouldn't be a whole lot of activity going on as far as shop work, but it sounds like maybe the team's been busy in this little off season, huh?
Yeah, I mean the shop has actually been doing really good. I'm actually busier now than I've been all year so far. To be honest with you, I guess maybe customers are wanting to get out and ride. And since maybe sports they're doing, other sports or other events that they're doing, they're wanting to maybe get their quads or their motorcycles or their side by sides out and go to the local OHV parks or whatever and go ride.
Yeah, those are. I've been hearing a lot of that, and actually, this past weekend, I understand there were some folks that opened up for riding. I don't know if there was any actual racing. There may have been, and I'd seen where some were scheduled to go on, some were canceling right there at the last minute. But I know a lot of open riding and things like that going on. What about around the Kentucky area? I don't know what was going on here locally in Ohio. I don't know anybody that really had any organized events going on, but I know some of the southern states that opened up, they had a few things going on. Did you hear anything going on around your neck of the woods? I know you're right there on the Tennessee border, so you're probably, I think they're opening up there in Tennessee as well.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's pretty much, they've opened up a lot more than Kentucky has. Our governor here is pretty restrictive. Uh, but yeah, they did open up an OHV park here last weekend, and I know this weekend, from what I saw on social media, it was booming. I mean, I guess it was as packed as I've seen it. But people are definitely wanting to get out and do something, and that's another fun way to do it, and that way they can kind of still be social distancing, but they can still go out and have fun. So I think in Kentucky, I know they're talking like maybe starting to open up some other stuff here, but I know Tennessee's a lot more than what we are right now as far as opening restaurants and malls and stuff like that. We're kind of still restrictive here in Kentucky. I don't see that they're having any races or anything going on here right now.
Yeah, that's probably not there in the state of Kentucky. I know I got some family down there, and they are somewhat restrictive. I know, and that's kind of good. I mean, I'm glad to see some things are opening up, and this will be a good test to see what's going on, especially with bigger organized events. I know a lot of the states that are open, they're still kind of limited on the number of social gathering, like not over so many, 250 or 25. I can't remember the numbers right offhand. But anyway, they are keeping it. They're trying to go back slow. So, I have to wonder, will we get back when we hope to get back to racing? I hope so. I know GNCC is slated to go on the 16th and 17th. We're going to go back down to Aonia Pass. Great facility. I know Georgia's pretty open-armed about things. We actually were able to run the event there when everything else was shutting down. Georgia state officials and local officials allowed us the opportunity to continue to run there, and I don't think there was any repercussions from that. So it looks like we may be going back there for that, and if that's the case, it'd be good to get the GNCC season. And then I know ATV Motocross is scheduled just around the corner as well. And I know you guys on the ATV MX side of things are getting pretty amped up. I mean, we saw the pro race at Daytona, but nobody has got to go out on a national competition track and actually show what they got so far this year. So I'm sure a lot of people you've been talking to are pretty itchy to get out there.
Yeah, they are. I know it's been an extensive training season for a lot of these amateur guys, because they haven't even hit the track to even show their potential. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year, according with everybody, having the time off to be able to train and stuff. And it's going to give some people a lot more advantages than others, I guess. But really looking forward to seeing that. I know Daytona was good down there, but that's been 7 or 8 weeks ago now. So it's tough on those guys. It's going to be a long series.
Yeah, a long series to say the least. Has it been that long? I guess it probably has. I've been kind of stuck here in Ohio. I don't know about the weather at your house. I've had a lot more gray, gloomy, cloudy, cold days than I have nice, sunshiny, warm days. The ones that I have had that have, I've got a few things done. I've got the place cleaned up around here, something I haven't been able to do in 3 or 4 years. I got a little bit more cleaning to do there. I got a lot of brush hogging done. I got a garden plowed. I got it halfway planted. I got potatoes in. I got cucumbers in. I got cabbage in. I got onions in, and watermelon. I think that's where I'm at right now. I've still got some tomatoes and some green beans and some corn and some other cash crop items to plant there as well. I'm thinking about opening up a little vegetable stand here, at least having the kids. I won't be around to do it because I'm going to be on the road week after week after week after week once we get back to started racing. But at least maybe the kids will be able to sell some veggies out in the front of the house here and give the Amish a run for their money here locally. So
yeah, we've done the same here. Yeah, we've done the same here. I mean, we've been fixing erosion places on the farm, and also been, I've hooked my tiller up to my tractor, and I've tilled a few gardens for my family, and we've actually planted the garden ourselves, and they've planted gardens, and we've just been trying to just do all the mulching and stuff, and keeping the yards mowed and the fields cut and stuff. So it's been a challenge, but it's also been fun too, because it's kind of it kind of gives you a little bit of perspective of what it could be like if this did keep going on, but hopefully it allow these kids and stuff to be able to get out and do a lot more too outside, instead of stuck in the house all the time too.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, the one thing about ATV moto kids and off-road racing kids in general is they're outside doing whatever they're going to do most likely anyway. There's a lot of the other kids, families that needed to slow down. I mean, I think this has been a good blessing, in a way, as much as it has been a curse. But think about it. What's the only difference other than, well, even with that, I mean, they used to have their ramps of disease that would come through, and people would get wiped out every few years or so. I mean, you can go to these old cemeteries and stuff, but 150, 200 years ago, 100 years ago even, I mean, 50 years ago, we'll be living a lot like that. Maybe not so much 50 years ago, but at least 75 or 100 years ago. I mean, things are a little bit closer to that. The only thing is we still have a lot of modern technologies and a lot of the things that make life so simple and sweet, but it also gives us a good eye-opener that maybe we should start planning for something like this again in the future. So I hope that people have who haven't ever had a garden, who haven't ever thought about it or thinking about it, and maybe doing some planning in the future for things to come. But nonetheless, regardless, Jeremiah, I'm sure a lot of folks are wondering, what's been keeping you busy and so forth. I know I've got a lot of questions. Last time I think we saw you race was what was it, 06 or 08, the last time you actually were able to race?
It was a long time ago. I mean, it's been. I mean, I've been injured for what 14, 15 years now. It was
Yeah.
2006, so it's been a while. But no, I mean, I keep myself busy, with my shop. I call it J2 Motorsports. It's just a little thing that I got going on, and I don't really advertise. I just kind of, people, it's basically word of mouth, and it just keeps spreading, and I just keep getting busier and busier. But for several years there, I was helping, a couple riders and some families and stuff do some training and stuff, and I've kind of got away from that a little bit, but I've still try to help a few here and there, if I can, and because I really enjoy it, and I go to the races and stuff too, because of I'm still still involved with Henson Racing. I've been with Henson for I think this is 11 years now, so that's been a real relationship with the Henson family, and I really have enjoyed that, and hopefully continue with that through many more years. But um, I've got into some rental property stuff, and I've got several rental properties now, um, and then also, like I said, we do the mechanic work, and then we also do the traveling with the nationals when they're in with the Henson trackside stuff. So that's kind of what keeps me busy. I also got my son a four wheeler this year to maybe start trying to ride, and it's kind of I guess a bad year because we haven't even done anything yet. So it's kind of like a standstill with him, and it's just a challenge. But I'm trying to get uh, more involved in it, and try to get him involved, and try to make it a little bit more interesting and fun, and just really just ready to get back at it again. To be honest with you, it's been a while. I mean, we need to get out and maybe start traveling a little bit again. It's kind of the being at home is fun, but being out on the road and being able to see all your buddies and your friends is always been good for me and my family and everybody too. So um, just but that's kind of really what I've been doing. I mean, I'm just real laid back. I'm just a country boy from Kentucky, and just um, I like the racing. That's all I've ever done, and I do love how everything's been turning out. I mean, it's been good. Everybody's staying healthy, and none of my family or anybody's contracted anything with this stuff going on, and that's always been it's been a blessing so far.
Yes, most definitely it has. And Jeremiah, I know a lot of people don't realize that you just made mention of the fact that racing's all you know. I mean, you've been racing since you were a little kid, and you went up through the ranks of amateur motocross into the professional ranks at a totally different time. And you came. I mean, I think things were good at the point, but when the factories came around and whenever you were at the peak of things and when your accident happened, man, I don't know that there was a better time in ATV racing. You can correct me if I'm wrong in that respect, but that was an amazing time to be an ATV motocross racer.
Yeah, I got into it. I got into racing right at the right time, and I peaked right at the right moment. Um, in order for me to get the ride that I got a ride with Yamaha in 2004, and got the Suzuki deal in '05 and '06 until I got hurt. But it was a good it was good at the time. I mean, I mean, it was, I guess you call it a blessing. I'm just glad that I actually got to do it, to actually become a professional ATV racer. And yeah, that's all I know how to do. It was a shell shock when I got hurt, considering, he had to change, basically from riding and training every day to, real life stuff, and that's kind of what I had to really learn over the years, but being able to manage it and keep things going. But yeah, the racing thing, I mean, that's kind of why I still got a shop, and I'm trying to get my boy into racing or whatever, because that's all I really know how to do. So um, I'm
Is that a good
just
or bad
just
thing?
fortunate. Well, the everyday, as well as I, any racer, when even when they retire or whatever, they always have a passion and love to keep doing it, and it's tough when you have to walk away from it and not be able to do it again, as far as riding and stuff. And that was a big challenge for me, just not being able to, being able to compete every day and be successful at it, and then all of a sudden it's not there. Um, but it's going to be, it's like that for anybody, even people that can, that can retire and walk away. I mean, they still go back to it. I've enjoyed, the sport, and want to stay in it as long as I can until maybe I do retire, permanently one day. Um, but it's, the ATV stuff has always been, the family and everybody's been great, to me, and I've tried to contribute as much as I can to the sport and try to help as much as I can to keep it going. And I know we got a race coming up. Um, I know Jeff Cernick's called me a
Right,
while
right.
back, and before any of this stuff even got started, any of this COVID stuff, and called me out of the blue and wanted me to do a race up there for that District 6 deal, whatever. And I said, man, I'd love to do something like that. I want to keep, ATV racing going and keep stuff alive and stuff. And if you can use my, name to help with that, and my involvement in that, I mean, I'd be more than glad to do it. So I mean, I'm still big into this stuff, but yeah, I would, the racing stuff. I'm really, really like to stay involved with this stuff and keep it going, and hopefully these families and stuff will keep it surviving.
Right. I agree. I mean, it takes a little bit of everybody. I mean, it takes everybody to make this whole thing work. I think, to be honest with you, and and the thing about it is, people don't realize. I think the mountains that you personally have climbed to get to where you are right now, Jeremiah. I mean, the accident. If you followed ATV motocross and you've talked to folks and you know what the accident is, then you know what we're talking about. But if you haven't, then you might be kind of shocked and surprised because, talk about somebody that was on top of the world. We mentioned I mentioned that it was as good as it ever was, with the factories the involvement with Suzuki. You had captured an ATV Motocross National Championship, which was your second national ATV championship, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, I won the Grand National Championship in '01. I guess I was, the last one to ever do that, before they split that series. Uh, but then, but before that, I'd won an MX title, when they did the Grand National, in 2000. So I actually won the MX title on the MX side of it in 2000. And in 2001, I actually won the Grand National Championship. And then in 2003, I won it again. But I was a runner up in 2002. Timmy had beat me that year. Um, but but I'd won some other stuff too. But the two biggest things is those two national titles, and then like I said, I did win the MX title in 2000 when we had TT and MX, but I only won the MX side of it is what I did. So, but anyways, but it was good. I'm proud to say, that I did accomplish those goals. And I set out, that's what I set out to do when I started racing ATVs, is to try to be one of the best and try to win some titles and championships and stuff. And I did, so I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you have a lot to be proud of, and I mean, wow, I know we've talked about it a couple different times, but I mean it's been a decade and a half nearly since the accident happened. I remember that day vividly for some reason, man, and I've often wanted to ask you the question. I remember I went over for some pre-race interviews, and I was talking to you, and I might have mentioned this to you once before. I can't remember, but I said, "How you feeling, Jeremiah?" You said, "Oh, I'm doing all right." He said, "But I got this little like twinge or something here right in my back here." He says, "I think you said you'd had a crash or something like that earlier in the week, a get off or something like that." You said, "Other than that, I feel pretty good." And that was pretty much, some of the last words that I had with you. The next thing that I know, you're in the first turn, and there, the prognosis is not good. The beauty of it is, I mean, you're still alive. But, we start hearing all these awful rumors that, your spinal cord have been severed and yada, yada, yada. And I mean, it was a black day, a dark day in ATV motocross, there's no doubt. When it happens to anybody, and especially at this level, under these many eyes and under this much attention.
Yeah, it is. It's a life-changing experience, and people look at people in wheelchairs and you're like, oh man, I wonder what happened to that guy, or woman or kid or whatever, and you just kind of just, went going by, but, no big deal. But, when you're placed in a wheelchair, then you start thinking, you think a lot differently, as far as how you do things. And, it takes you a little bit longer to do stuff, and things. And it's a challenge day in and day out. But yeah, I mean, that day, when I did have my accident, I mean, I remember that I did have like I had a kink in my back or something that day. Um, Not sure if something was damaged earlier in that deal, and that's what maybe caused something to happen. Because
was
my
it the
wrist,
same area? Was it in the same area? I'm just curious. I mean, this is
well,
something that's always plagued me.
my yeah, I mean, my injury was T11, T12, L1, is what my injury is. I'm not for sure. I know I had a kink in my back that day, um, but I don't know if that's what, if there was something just up with that deal or what. But I mean, because even my wreck, I mean, it wasn't a crazy wreck. I mean, I've came off a lot faster and harder before and just walked away from it. I don't know. It was just a fluke deal. It's just something fluke. I don't know. Maybe something was going on with my back already, and it just took that little bit of a brunt hit to do what it did. So, um,
Yeah,
it's just part of it.
yeah, it is. I mean, that's something. I mean, even if you wouldn't know, you couldn't know anything like that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably wonder the question: would you change anything? I mean, other than the accident, obviously, but I mean, would you go back if you knew that you were going to be paralyzed from ATV racing? Would you have changed anything? I guess that's kind of a silly question too, way to put it, because you don't want to be paralyzed, I'm sure. But I guess looking back on it now, are you satisfied with the road that you traveled? I guess is the best way to put that.
Yeah, I mean, I accomplished what I set out to do. The only thing that would have bothered me on that whole deal, and I get it to this day, people ask me, oh, did you hit some jump, or, did you crash out on something or whatever? I'm like, no, that's not what happened. Like, it's basically like going out on the road out there and getting hit in the side, from another vehicle and just getting paralyzed. That's basically what happened. It just, I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time in that situation. Um, I do sit back and think about, because I remember to this day of coming out of the start and actually getting a good jump, but I was on the far outside with, because I had a bad first moto. I actually crashed that first moto and got way back, and I was just trying to capitalize with a better start in the main event to try to maybe gain up some points, because I came a long way that season. I mean, I think at one time I was 75 or 80 points back.
Wow.
And was having to qualify just to make it to the qualifier to make it to the main event. So it was a struggle from the beginning, and I'd made it all the way up to almost, I think it was, seemed like it was 14 or 17 points back with I don't know, there was maybe with three rounds to go in the series, and actually would have gave myself a shot at winning that title that year. But I came a long way behind, and I was just, I was just set to win, you know. And when we came out of that start in that second moto, there wasn't no lifting. I wasn't going to let off of it. I was going to go to the front, or we was going to crash or something. That's the way I was always set. I wanted to win, and that was it. Somebody else may have let off the gas and, let everybody go and went through it, but that just wasn't me. I was just the guy that was on the gas.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you had a lot going on. Um, about we look back at that time. There's been a lot of changes since then. I mean, the sport has changed so much. I mean, and you've witnessed it a lot. I mean, you grew, like you said, you grew up in it, so you saw it go from probably a heyday to what seemed like a dark forest time, and then it hit the big heyday, and then it's kind of gone again, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of gone whoop-de-doo, I think, over the last few years. It looks like it's going to do all right, but you just can't really tell what's going to go on with that. We are keeping a good rhythm.
Yeah, when I first started, the sport was actually okay. Like there was a substantial amount of riders in it. But I know when they started bringing the hybrid stuff out, that really started enthusing a lot of light riders to come back and start racing again. And it actually progressed into the manufacturers coming back into it. And when the manufacturers came back into it, it was ridiculous. Like some of these events, I mean, I didn't even think they was even going to get qualifiers done for the weekends. There was just so many people. Um, but after the fact, when we had that depression in the economy there, it kind of killed it there for a while. Um, I'm real surprised that it survived. Really glad that it did survive. And it's been on a downward fall, but it looks like it could spike back up again, which is great for the ATV community.
It really is. And the thing about it is, I mean, what really stinks, as great as things were, and I mean, I know you were a part of the team, you were a part of the hoopla and the sunshine and everything, that everything was being blown. And whenever the WPSA came along, I have to say, man, personally, in my opinion, that damn near destroyed ATV racing. It split the industry so badly. So many people stuck their foot in their mouth so badly that they didn't even come back to the racetrack, or it took them years to come back to the racetrack. I think that was one big dent. Then we had the economy crush, and it really has been a rebuilding process, I think, for the last 12 years. I mean, honestly, this is the longest rebuild process that I think I've ever witnessed, and I know of in history anyway with it.
Yeah, it was a struggle. I know when WPSA did come in involved in that. I mean, that was the latest, greatest thing. Everybody wanted it and new. And then they did have the ESPN television coverage, which that drew, a lot of outside corporate sponsors like, Rockstar, Red Bull, Monster, so that did, everybody was wanting that, and there was money involved. But when they went belly up, man, it definitely took a toll on
Yeah.
that deal, and I think
Well,
it did pull a lot of the
the whole bad thing
manufacturers
about
back.
that, the bad thing about that, and I don't know, I know you were on a different side of the industry than what I was, but what I witnessed is that these guys came in, and I know they had a hard on, and they wanted to try to destroy ATV Motocross National Championship Racing. They wanted to destroy that series. They wanted to be the only ones, the big boys, the only ones on the block, basically, is what it was. And I think had they approached it a different way, it would have been a whole different ballgame. And I think better business decisions, which I can't say anything. I made a lot of mistakes myself in business, but better business decisions could.
Yeah, I think so. And they brought their own. They went way into it too fast, too sudden, and I think they went through their budget pretty fast, and it went belly up. But um, the Coonses and them they've been doing this stuff for a long time. And I don't really see anybody coming in and haltering what they've got going on. They've been doing a wonderful job trying to keep the racing alive, and have done it for years. So I'm just fortunate, and I guess we're all fortunate
Amen.
that they've kept this thing alive, because they could have very easily uh, you know dropped this series and went on and did something else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at the big picture. I mean, it's a struggle. We know. We see what the promoters are going through. We see what they've gone through, and what they're trying to do now. But I mean, I think as far as numbers, I think we've kind of hit a plateau in a sense. I mean, we're still losing a lot of people, but I think what we're doing, I don't know. I think with like District 6, with the Southeast Quads, with the Florida races, with New England ATV. Ironically, one of the supporters that you see up on the screen right now, organizations and local grassroots racing, I think is really a lot stronger now than it has been in quite some time. And what I'm witnessing and recognizing, at least here on a local level, especially on the indoors and through fast tracks racing, what we have down here in southeastern Ohio, I'm starting to see a lot more youth on the local level than I think I ever really have, at least personally, on a widespread basis. I mean, you had your little areas that had them, but I mean, I'm seeing it from all ranks now. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, we need that. I mean, that's what grows the sport is the youth guys. And that's what keeps it alive. Um, it just hopefully, it this once this COVID stuff gets over. I mean, from talking to some industry people and people that's been around the sport for a long time. I actually think you know, the COVID thing's a bad thing, but in the other things, I think it's a wake up call for a lot of this stuff too. I mean, I've seen riders and heard of riders that are wanting to come back and get into the sport again because um, now they have time to do it and they realize that they miss it. So I'm kind of hoping that once the first round comes about, as long as it's a pretty weekend, I'd say we're probably going to get a substantial amount of riders come to that thing.
I,
So
I tell you,
that's what
right.
I'm
I hope
hoping
you're right.
for.
Looking forward
Yeah,
to
me
it. I
too.
know that. Hey
Yeah,
man, it's job security for me. The more, as long as people are coming, that means I've got something to do. I've got QuadRadio that I can continue to do and things like that. I can go out and announce the races and yeah, I mean, I need the sport to survive to continue to do what I do as far as a profession goes, and it gives me something to do during the virus. I've been working hard, man, to try to get this right here to where I can start going live online like this. So I mean, it's taken a lot of, I mean, where it's technically very strenuous for me to make something like that happen, but I'm pulling out some stops here and trying to make some things happen, and saying thanks to some folks that have helped make that happen. Like I said, Todd West and the guys over at E-Racing, we'll talk a lot more about them in the future, but we've got some really great things going on there. But Jeremiah, let's switch gears. Let's talk about today's crop of riders, the pro riders. We're seeing some pretty good talent. I mean, and good influx. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys fading away, but several guys have stepped up into their place. And I mean, we're getting some of those young guns that we watched grow up, like the Alan Myers. He's been in there for a year or so. We got the Ford brothers now. Both brothers are in the class. Zach Decker, I believe, is moving up. No, maybe Zach's not, but Zach might be still a little ways away from him. But we got guys like Brandon Hogue. And then, of course, there's Nick Janusa, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Chad Weenan, Joel Hetrick, Thomas Brown. I mean, the whole host of riders. And if I left somebody out, which is very easy to do, I'm just saying that there's a lot of names out there. And the sport really seems to be pretty alive right now. And the talent field and the pool, especially over the last couple of years, really seems to have deepened. I mean, it's still kind of the Chad and Joel show, but I think we might start seeing with these faster guys and different if people get faster starts and they can hold these guys off a little longer. I think we're going to start to see the podiums jump up a little bit with this new blood out there.
Yeah, I do too. From what I saw at Daytona, there's definitely some new guys and some new blood that's going to mix it up this year. And I'm glad to see that. I mean, when Chad got to his, I feel like Chad, has went through his prime, and he's excelled, and I feel like Joel is, he's still progressing, and he will excel to his potential. But there's always that new guy. There's always going to be another guy that steps up and excels over even those two guys. And we've all been waiting to see who it's going to be. Is it going to be an Alan Myers or a Brandon Hogue or a Troy Hill or a Stanfield or any of them guys? Who's it going to be?
Yeah.
Is it going to be is it going to be the new Ford? Is it going to be that Ford kid? Is he going to be the next guy? But that's what makes it exciting, because you don't know. Everybody's going to go to the fence and they're going to sit there and watch because they want to see who's going to be that next guy. So,
and it's kind of a different time in ATV motocross from what we've seen over the last decade or so. I mean, because it has been pretty much a championship basically dominated by Chad Weenan for the biggest part of the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, I mean, Chad came into his prime like, I got hurt in 06, and 07 he came out, and I mean, it was absolutely just ridiculous, like how much of the intensity he made everybody pick their pace up. And then he just kept progressing, and then that made everybody else pick up the pace. And then now, now you're looking at it like, okay, well, Joel Hetrick's making Chad pick his pace up. Thomas is coming in the picture to where he's picked his pace up. Now you've got these rookies that are coming in that may possibly make the pace even pick up even more. It's going to be interesting to see, how much speed these guys have got this year, to see who's going to be consistent and be able to run up front with Big Weenan and Hetrick, through the year.
Yeah, and you bring up a good question about the speeds. How much faster can these guys go, really? I mean, what do we have? I mean, the machines are going fast. They're performing at probably the best level. I mean, suspension and technology today is I mean, it was good when you were riding, but I mean, when you look at suspension and how far it's come, what do you think about the technology of things? I mean, it's been what, like you said, 14 years since you were a racer. I mean, but when you look at it, do you see a big progression in the science of it all?
Um, Somewhat. I know the engine development has come a long way as well. Tuning ability, Jamie uh, over at PP Performance. I mean, that dude's he's a whiz on that stuff. I mean, he pretty much helps tune the majority of the pro guys' bikes. Um, with the tunability of the EFI setup, and then now you've got newer, some of the newer technology going into the suspension now. The tires are even better on the quads than they used to be. Just the lightness of the stuff that they're using as far as titanium components from like Foreworks and stuff. I mean, even the difference in like the seat components, people cutting seats and making themselves where they can hold themselves on the bike to be able to gain more power on the bike to be under more controllable. Man, it's been crazy just the stuff that's changed since I've been out of it. That's made the bikes faster and made them where they can even ride them to that ability.
Right. And the training aspects. I mean, wow, how far have those come? I mean, I know Digger Doug was a big trainer.
I don't think it's as bad as it was.
Yeah, it probably isn't. Hey, let's makeshift something together here real quick, and then we'll see if we can make this work. All right. And then
Okay.
you don't, do you have anything you got to do right now?
Oh, I got a bunch of stuff to do.
Well, give me 5 minutes here, and let's see if we can make this work. If not, I'll let you go and get back into your stuff. I am recording right now according
Okay.
to this, so let me do this. Media 2.